Hello and welcome everyone at the new episode of the Pure Gospel on the Flat Earth. My name is Jouke Elsinga and today we will talk about why humanism fails. It's important for me to do this because I think that humanism leads to all kinds of problems in the world, like scarcity, hostility between people, and individualism and complete meaninglessness. Humanists are represented by, I think, most religions in the world. So many people say that they follow, for instance, the Christian God or the God of the Muslims or many gods of the Hindus, but in fact they are just following other people. And also oftentimes, as is the case with Hindus, we see, for instance, that these gods are derived from people, that they give a godlike status to certain people, and that they're actually following people rather than God. So I think in essence what it means is that people want to chase their own desires, and they see their desires being represented by other people, and chasing your own desires is not the solution but the problem. Humanists want to suggest that we have duties to ourselves rather than to God, while real followers of Christ suggest that we need to deny ourselves to follow the Most High, follow His commandments, and do our duties towards Him first. That we have a mission, that we have a meaning in life, and that we have duties towards Him. This is what humanists want to suppose about their own worldview.
Humanism is a philosophical stance which affirms the fact that humans have dignity and worth, and that they are capable of discovering truths about the world and humanity's place within it purely by appealing to reason and scientific method. In humanism, there is also the emphasis on faith in humanity and a concern for building a more humane and just society. The humanists are usually non-religious people who believe that the universe is just a natural phenomenon with no supernatural aspect. Hence, the humanists view the world from the vantage point of reason and scientific method. This naturalistic and scientific view of the world has deep implications in how the humanists view the human person. On the one hand, the humanists see the human person as not distinct from the rest of nature. For the humanists, the human person is nothing but a purely worldly creature whose existence is a product of purposeless natural processes over a long period of change and development. For this reason, the humanists have a perfect feeling of being at home in the world.
So the person in this specific video suggests that humanists are rational and scientific and truthful towards who humans are. So that is what she wants to suggest basically, and that humanism is good, that it's great, that it works. But I think that exactly the exact opposite is the case. I think first off that it is not true. Secondly, that it leads to scarcity and hostility. And thirdly, that it leads to meaninglessness, that it disregards the important things, the existential aspects of who we are as humans. So let's start with the first one. If you take our desires and if you depart from our desires basically, then this will automatically lead to biased results, to biased outcomes. And it leads to all kind of garbage science, like the globe, for instance, with this idea of outer space and all kinds of planets and all kinds of weird motions that we would have on the Earth, and how we would go through the universe, all this kind of nonsense, and the evolutionary theory. Well, deep inside the evolutionary thinking is the idea that people develop over time, that we get further and further, that we always improve. But if you look to nature, for instance, then you do not see this. You only see degradation, and you don't see how humans are positively contributing to their environment, basically. So I think that this already gives you a red flag. Moreover, the evolutionary theory has been debunked numerous times. It has been proven to be riddled with lies and frauds. The only reason that people believe it is because they want to get rid of the other explanation, namely creation, supernatural creation, which I think is the best explanation. So we should follow the evidence where it leads, and this would lead to the conviction that humanism is not true and that we should reject it. So, by the way, you see this anti-realism also with someone like Albert Camus. You see that he wants to suggest, we should get rid of the notion of God. We should not put our trust in God or in a personal God, because then this would make us less free.
He says, we modern people believe in absolute freedom. Many of us don't believe in God at all. Many of us don't believe in a God that you can know. In other words, modern people generally either believe in no God or they believe there's no God you can really know. And therefore, we believe in no God, or no God you can really know, because we believe in freedom. If there was a God, and if there was a God that we could know, who told us how we had to live, and who gave us the rules and the regulations, well, then we wouldn't be free.
You see that he wants to suggest, we should get rid of the notion of God. We should not put our trust in God or in a personal God, because then this would make us less free. Then we would be subject to all kinds of restrictions. But regardless whether this is the case, we should just follow the evidence where it leads, because it will lead us to realistic outcomes, basically. So it will not lead to all kinds of delusions and all kinds of nonsense. People right now partly live from their imagination instead of from realism. So the second problem I have with humanism is that it leads to hostility and scarcity, and I really think that there's not a lot needed to back up this claim, because people intuitively know that this is the case. You see this thinking also within the theory of economics, the scarcity premise that humans have infinite desires and only scarce resources, which automatically leads to some kind of hostility. And then you have the market mechanism to deal with all of this, basically. But it does not work, obviously, and it's also not fair. You see that some people who have way more means, who have way more resources than others, that is more easily for them to profiteer than for others, obviously. But there's no need for this premise at all, because there's no need for all kind of nonsense that we should accumulate. So this idea of infinite needs is not something to take for granted, but it's something to doubt, basically. Is a human existence, is that really about accumulating as much stuff as possible? Well, I don't think so. But then this leads me to my third objection with humanism, and that is the fact that humanism does not address the existential aspects of life, for the simple reason that people want to suppress the revelation of the Most High, and they want to suppress His existence. So that is why they want to avoid the deeper questions in life. They want to say, oh, you need to figure out your own meaning, just live for yourself, live for your own desires are all that matters. But people intuitively know that this is not the case. Obviously, when they are in sorrow, when they are troubled, when they are rejoicing, when they're very happy, they're thinking about what they're experiencing. And obviously this will also point them to what life is about, of what would lie in the future. Where do we come from as humans? What is history about? All these elementary aspects of life are disregarded with the superficiality, the superficial hedonism of humanism, basically. That are the implications of it. So, according to me, humanism is of no use. It only creates problems. It's not even true. It leads us also to become, to get arrogant, basically, to boast in ourselves. It will lead to all kind of hostility between people. It will lead to wars. So there's no need for all of this. Obviously, God does not want this for us. So then I will also come up with the solution, which lies into the biblical message. So God does not want to restrict us. He does not want us to suffer. He tells us that there's abundance on this earth, that we can multiply. He created an earth full of abundance. He created enough for everyone. But the problem lies in chasing our own desires instead of chasing what He wants for us, doing our duty towards Him. And we are all in the same boat when it comes to that. I have sinned, you have sinned, everyone has sinned. And God came with a solution to this. He sent His Son. His Son did not give in to His own desires. He did not come to be served. He came to serve and to give His life for the people. The evil one wants to suggest that God is restricting us. He already did this in Genesis 3. God wants to restrict you. And you have your heart's desires, you need to just follow your desires and you become equal like God. Well, we saw how this worked out and was not beneficial. It was only getting worse, basically. So we should not go this road, but we should follow the greatest man who's ever lived, Yeshua the Christ, who conquered the power of sin and death, and who served others in love. And we should follow this model. Serving others in love, applying the golden rule, treat others as how you want to be treated yourself. These things are the real solutions for humanity. And God can only work with people who really want to acknowledge their situation before Him, who really want to face the truth and want to acknowledge that they have sinned, that they need forgiveness, that they now need to live for the Most High, and for His Son, that they need to follow His plan, basically, who want to build character, basically, who don't want superficial, selfish, individualistic nonsense. I just want to read with you from Jeremiah 70 verse 9. So that is what we're going to read right now. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure, who can understand it? So following your heart's desires, as the humanists want to suggest, that is all what matters. That's not the solution, that's the problem. Okay? So that is what I want you to take away from this video. So let us become humble, let us look into the plan of God, look into the mirror, look what following our desires leads up to, and that's not good. So let's go for the solution. So in the next episode we also want to talk more about the spiritual warfare and how the evil one wants to appeal to our selfish desires, and that will lead to all kinds of problems, and that there are demons behind and spiritual forces behind those desires, and that is why we're in this situation right now. So thank you all for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video. We hope to see you in another episode of the Pure Gospel on the Flat Earth.